Review proposed changes for Regulation 4240. Professional learning for all employees. You'll notice on page 1, there are minor updates to language. Under Roman numeral 2A, under in-district courses for professional development education, PDE, we've updated the division responsible for the professional learning or PDE department.
Dr. Ellis, would you allow me just one moment while we go to the second page of this document? That's where we're at now. Or yeah, thank you.
Continuing on to with PDE on page 2, we've made updates to the PDE advisory committee, specifically to increase efficiency and workflow and align with our current practices of the PDE department.
Dr. Ellis, I'm sorry, we're going to get word through. Thank you so much.
Also continuing with PDE on page 3, we've removed number 5 to align with the primary function of professional development education, which is license renewal for teachers. Further along on page 3, there are minor updates to out-of-district activities and grants and aids, just updating language. Moving on to page 4, under Roman numeral 3, we've updated to align with current practices and the current teams currently responsible for district-wide professional learning, the Central Services Collaborative.
Thank you, Dr. Ellis. We're just trying to catch up on some of the pages. Are we on page 4 or 5?
It's on page 4.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you for helping us out. We appreciate that. Support.
Continuing on, there are minor updates regarding language to align with. Moving on to the final page, page 5, Roman numeral 3B, required professional learning and completion requirements have been added, specifically to align with best practices for employee support and development. Thank you.
Madam President, members of the board, Interim Superintendent Larsa Mitchell, for the record again, Dustin Mansell. We just want to thank you for this opportunity to share these proposed amendments to this regulation, and we will pause at this time.
Thank you. Colleagues, if you have any questions, please add yourself to the queue. Otherwise, we don't have public comment on this item, and I'm seeking a motion. Trustee Cavazos.
Thank you, Madam President. At this time, if there are no questions, I'd like to make a motion to adopt 3.01, Notice of Intent, Clark County School District Regulation 4240.
Thank you. Thank you, Trustee Cavazos. Trustee Bustamante Adams.
I will second that motion.
Thank you, Trustee Bustamante Adams. Colleagues, we have a motion by Trustee Cavazos and a second by Trustee Bustamante Adams. Please cast your vote. Trustee Williams.
Aye.
Thank you, colleagues. That motion passes 6-0. Thank you both for your work. Okay, colleagues, we're going to move on to item 3.02. That's the interim superintendent employment agreement. This is an action item, and before we begin with this item, please, if you'd like to provide public comment on this item, please submit your yellow card. Council.
This board appointed Dr. Larsa Mitchell to serve as interim superintendent on February 22nd with a 5-2 vote. With a 7-0 vote on April 3rd, this board approved the negotiation of an employment agreement. So today I bring that employment agreement before you.
Thank you, Council. We don't have any public comment on this item. I am looking for discussion and a motion. Trustee Bustamante Adams.
If there's no questions from my colleagues, then I would like to make a motion to approve the employment agreement contract with our interim superintendent, Brenda Larsa Mitchell.
Thank you very much. Trustee Bustamante Adams. Trustee Zamora.
Thank you, Madam President. I would like to second that motion.
Thank you, Trustee Zamora. Colleagues, we have a motion on the floor by Trustee Bustamante Adams, and second by Trustee Zamora. Please cast your vote. Trustee Williams.
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you, colleagues. That motion passes 6-0. Okay, colleagues, we're gonna move along here and to item 4.01. That is public comment on items not listed as action items on the agenda. Before we continue, I'd like to provide anyone who'd like to provide public comment on this item, please submit your yellow card now. Otherwise, we'll begin taking public comment based off individuals who signed up in advance. Nicole Years, excuse me. Followed by Brandon. Yeah. Nicole.
Oh, I'm
Yes.
sorry, was it me? I thought you were just shouting my name out. I'm sorry.
Hold on a second. Thank you for adding levity to the space.
Yeah.
Thank you, Nicole, followed by Brandon Summers.
Okay, Nicole Beer for the record. I come before you today as the proud co-chapter chair of Defense of Democracy and CCSD teacher librarian. I'm calling on each and every one of you to support candidates in your district that are not involved with domestic terrorist groups such as Moms for Liberty. Of course, I need not remind most of you that those are not my words, but the words of the Southern Poverty Law Center, the HRC, numerous judicial courts around the country, and the U.S. Department of Justice. They would like you to think that they're only trying to ban books about queer folks. This is a lie. They package and frame their hate narratives against people they don't approve of. In fact, my recent op-ed in the Nevada Independent included a citation from PEN America, a well-respected literacy think tank that gathers data on banned books in America. 30% of the banned books in America in 2022 were about people of color. Only 26% of the books were two-spirit LGBTQIA topics. These are the facts, not barely trackable, made-up nonsense from underinformed radicals that come before you. Many of you on that dais have been supporters of policy 6161 and 6150 since the beginning. We thank you for your continued support and advocacy. I would be remiss if I did not thank Dr. Mansell, who has been there for librarians since the beginning, continues to be a champion for over 300 licensed certified teacher librarians and in turn our students. There are 4 Moms for Liberty candidates for school board. We are quite certain that none of them has a chance of making out of the primaries. People don't like people that called for trans children to be unalived. It's not trendy. So I call on you today to make certain that you spread the word about these anti-public education candidates on the ballot. We can't have them near our students. At an April trustee meeting, chapter chair of Moms for Liberty accused the principal secretary of Valley High School of having a conversation with her on CCSD property. And the secretary was quoted by the chapter chair as saying, the secretary is outraged at the pornographic books. And she further stated, quote, when we tour these schools, some of the principals take the books off the library shelves themselves. There needs to be an investigation into these outlandish claims. We would like a representative from CCSD to circle back to our chapter after the investigation is complete. We need to make sure that our buildings are safe from anti-government terrorists. These claims from the Vegas chapter chair, a woman who's guilty of numerous Category C felonies under NRS 205.40, she routinely refers to herself as a teacher. It is a felony in Nevada to impersonate a public service servant under Nevada law. She holds no teaching degree in Nevada or any other state that has a searchable teacher lookup. Delaware and Rhode Island are the only ones that do not have the data available. Maybe she's a teacher there. I brush my teeth 2 to 3 times a day. It don't make me a dentist. The district, our students, and the very soul of our nation are at risk. I implore you now to be on the right side of history and support any candidate but Moms for Liberty. They are unstable radicals led by a felonious imposter. Thank you.
Is Brandon Summers present? Okay, we'll move on to yellow cards. Vicky Friedel, followed by Diego Para. Sorry. Diego, I'm not saying your name right, but after Friedel.
Good evening, my name is Vicky Friedel. I'm a reading teacher, grades 1 to 5 in CCSD and president of NEA of Southern Nevada. I want you to think about a time when you started in your, there can be a lot to learn, right? As a teacher, there's even more to learn. Not only do you have to learn the state standards for your grade level and subject, you also need to become familiar with benchmark goals and developmental expectations. In today's world of teaching, you often also have to learn a new curriculum. It's a lot. One of the things I'm seeing that definitely hurts retention is how some administrators move licensed educators around like chess pieces. So after teachers have spent at least a year, often longer, learning how to teach a specific grade level or a subject, they're notified that they will be moved for the next school year. This practice is absolutely hurting retention. Administrators should ask educators if they mind moving. I know because I've had administrators do this to me before in CCSD, and several times I said yes. These requests came from a kind, supportive administrator who knew I would be a good fit elsewhere. That approach is fine and it's appreciated. However, the ugly side of this practice is when the administrator moves people for other reasons. Sometimes it's to get a friend or former colleague into the position. More frequently, it's to force you out of their school. I had this happen to me one time in CCSD, and I can tell you, it doesn't make you feel appreciated or make you want to stay in CCSD. In fact, it does the opposite. At a time when we are facing a critical shortage, should we be treating our licensed personnel this way? I would think that right now, your administrators would all be doing everything in their power to make their staff feel appreciated and wanted. If we are to begin to fix our critical shortage, our best hope is to keep the people we have now. And we should all be doing our best to retain the licensed educators. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bruno. Diego? Present? Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Daniel Collett. I'm Diego Perez's uncle, and I'll be speaking on his behalf. Respected board members of the trustee, thank you for your time. I want to talk about an incident that my nephew had at high school. It was involving an altercation with another student, and the principal, Ms. Brockets, has decided to not let him walk during the graduation ceremony for 24 this month. He was completely defending himself from other students. He was being attacked from behind as well, and trying to create safe space so he could walk away. But the principal and others, the deans, didn't see that. So I tried reaching out to the principal, and it took over a month. It took us to reach out to Superintendent from District 3, Robert Solomon. There's a lot of back and forth from his staff, misinformed information from District 3, finally reaching to Satori and Zamora. I did email them as well. And there's been a lot of back and forth. He has worked really hard. He came into his senior year with sophomore credits. And I mean, he's just did his final exam today, and he's getting ready to pass, graduate, and get his diploma. But the principal is still not allowing him to walk. We have family members that pay for their flights, hotels that are coming in. We just want a proper investigation into the situation. So they graduate and walk doing so.
Thank you, Daniel. Well, I want to acknowledge that you're here seeking answers. Board is unable to engage in back and forth. I know Dr. Larson Mitchell and her staff are already figuring out how to connect with you after you finish.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Colleagues, that concludes public comment at this time. Thank you, Dr. Larson Mitchell, for your support always. All right. We're going to move on to item 5.01. That's upcoming meeting of the Board of Trustees on May 20th at 5 p.m. here in the boardroom. Do everyone have next week is May 20th, Monday, May 20th at 5 p.m. here in the boardroom. Now, colleagues, I'm seeking a motion for the meeting. 6, Trustee Zamora.
Thank you, Madam President. I would like to make a motion to adjourn our meeting.
Thank you, Trustee Zamora. Trustee Bustamante Evans.
I second that motion.
Thank you, Trustee Bustamante Evans. Colleagues, we have a motion by Trustee Zamora and by Trustee Bustamante Evans. Please cast your vote. Trustee Williams. All right, colleagues, the motion passes 6-0. The time is 5:34 p.m. Thank you and have a great night.